The first thing Elias Rowe noticed was the floor. Silver liquid was spreading across his workshop tiles, slipping into the seams like it had a mind of its own. His heart jumped, not because something had fallen from the sky, not because alarms were screaming outside, but because those tiles were imported, expensive, and impossible to replace on this forgotten edge of human space. "Great," he muttered. "That's just perfect." Only after that did he notice the body. It lay half-crushed beneath the broken roof panel, tall and unmoving, steam rising from strange armor that looked grown rather than built. Rain hammered down through the hole, wind howled like the planet itself was angry, and emergency lights flickered red across the workshop. Whatever had slammed into his building had come down hard, and fast. Elias grabbed a mop first. That was the kind of man he was. Floors first. Panic later. But when the silver liquid pulsed, actually pulsed, he froze. That wasn't coolant. That was blood. The figure groaned. Elias dropped the mop and rushed forward. The being was humanoid, but not human. Smooth metallic skin beneath fractured armor, eyes closed, chest rising in shallow, uneven breaths. The silver blood leaked from a deep gash along her side, reacting strangely to the air, shimmering like liquid moonlight. "Okay," Elias whispered. "Okay, okay. This is happening." He was a repair engineer, not a doctor. His workshop on Kepri Station was meant for machines, drones, and ship hull plating, not living beings from another star. But leaving her there wasn't an option. Humans didn't work that way. At least, not the ones who slept at night. He dragged her, carefully, onto the reinforced work table. The armor resisted, tightening as if alive, but then relaxed, opening along hidden seams. Elias swallowed hard. Definitely not a machine. He sealed the roof breach first, slamming the emergency panel shut. Rain stopped pouring in, though the storm outside still roared. Then he turned back to the injured stranger and grabbed a medkit meant for humans. It would have to do. The moment his hands touched her skin, warmth surged through his gloves. She gasped. Her eyes snapped open, bright, radiant, and utterly alien. "Do not," she rasped, trying to rise. "Do not touch me." Elias pressed her gently back down. "You fell through my roof. You're bleeding on my floor. We're already past polite conversation." She stared at him, shocked, not by his words, but by his tone. There was no fear in it. No reverence. No aggression. Just concern. "You do not know who I am," she said weakly. "You're hurt," Elias replied, activating the med gel. "That's who you are right now." The gel reacted violently with her blood, hardening into a flexible seal. Elias winced, expecting her to scream. She didn't. Instead, her breathing slowed. Her skin shifted color, faintly, subtly, like light moving beneath metal. "Why?" she whispered. "Why what? Why help?" Elias frowned. "Because you crashed through my ceiling instead of vaporizing me? Because you're alive? Because that's what people do." She looked at him like he'd spoken nonsense. Outside, the storm intensified. But beneath it, another sound crept in, low, rhythmic, artificial. Engines. The station's early warning system began to chirp. Unscheduled arrivals. The woman stiffened. Fear, real fear, flickered across her face. "They are coming," she said. Elias didn't stop working. "Who is they?" "Hunt ships," she replied. "They do not miss." Elias glanced at the sealed wound. Not perfect, but stable. He powered down the overhead lights, leaving only the dull amber glow of the workbench. "Good," he said. "Because my security system is terrible, but my building codes are worse." She tried to laugh. It came out as a soft, broken sound. Footsteps echoed outside. Heavy. Coordinated. A sharp knock rattled the workshop door. "Human engineer," a voice boomed through the metal. "Open immediately. We detected an unauthorized impact." Elias stepped between the door and the table without thinking. "She's a queen," the woman whispered urgently. "If they find me." Elias didn't hear the rest. Queen. He blinked once. Then he knocked on the doorframe from the inside. "Workshop's closed," he shouted. "Structural damage. Radiation leak." There was a pause. "Scans show no radiation." "Well, my scanner says you're wrong," Elias said. "And mine's older, so it has more personality." The alien soldiers outside murmured. Bureaucracy was universal. The woman stared at him in disbelief. "You would lie for me?" she asked. Elias shrugged. "You dented my roof. Feels fair." The footsteps retreated, temporarily. Silence returned, thick and fragile. Only then did Elias look at her fully. "Okay," he said slowly. "You mentioned Queen." She closed her eyes. "My name is Erin of the Luminarch throne," she said. "Sovereign of the Heliox convergence." Elias let that sink in. Then he looked at the silver stains creeping toward the edge of his floor tiles. Do queens usually bleed on private property? For the first time since she crashed through the sky, Erin smiled. And somewhere above Kepri Station, the galaxy shifted, just a little, without realizing a human engineer had already changed the game. Elias didn't sleep. He sat on a stool with a coil gun across his knees, watching the workshop door like it might grow teeth and bite him. The storm outside had eased into a steady, angry rain, but the engines he'd heard earlier were still there, circling. The station's lights flickered every few minutes, a sign that security grids were being overridden by something with more authority than the local governor. Erin lay on the work table under a thermal blanket, her armor opened like a peeled shell around her torso. The wound Elias had sealed wasn't bleeding anymore, but her face was too pale, if pale could describe skin that looked like brushed metal under moonlight. Elias checked her pulse again, because it was the only thing he could do that felt useful. Her eyes opened. "You are still here," she said softly. "I live here," Elias replied. "Unless those guys out there decide I don't." Erin stared toward the door. Her pupils narrowed into thin, dark slits. "They will return. They will not stop. They are not station security." "Yeah, I figured," Elias said. "Station security usually knocks politely, then loses the paperwork." Erin's expression tightened. "These are convergence hunters. Black licensed. No records. No mercy. They serve a coalition of houses that want my throne empty." Elias leaned forward. "So this is a coup?" "It already happened," Erin said. "I escaped the assassination attempt. Barely. My ship," she swallowed, pain flashing through her face. "My ship was forced into the atmosphere. I aimed for the only place with a chance of hiding me. A human station. Humans are unpredictable." Elias snorted. "That's the nicest insult I've ever heard." Erin didn't smile this time. "It is not an insult. It is a warning and a hope at the same time." Elias rubbed his tired eyes. He'd spent his whole life fixing broken things. Drones. Cargo loaders. Leaky air seals. He hadn't planned to fix interstellar politics. But there was something about the way Erin had said it, warning and hope, that tightened his chest. "All right," he said. "If they're coming back, we need a plan." Erin shifted, trying to sit up. Elias moved to help, but she raised a hand. "I can walk," she insisted. "Weakness invites death." "Cool philosophy," Elias said. "Still not letting you fall on my floor again." Erin stared at him like she wasn't sure if he was joking. He was. Mostly. He crossed the workshop to the wall of shelves and grabbed an old station map tablet. Kepri Station was small, an industrial outpost built into an asteroid's hollowed spine. Mostly humans, a few traders, and one tired governor who spent more time negotiating fuel prices than dealing with real threats. Elias flicked through layers of the station blueprint. "Okay. If hunters are scanning for you, they'll check medical bays, docking ports, and the obvious hiding places." "They will check everywhere," Erin said. "Then we don't hide," Elias answered. "We misdirect." Erin's eyes narrowed. "Humans use deception as strategy." "Lady, humans use deception to get extra fries at fast food counters," Elias said. Strategy is our hobby. Erin blinked slowly, like she was trying to decide if he was dangerous or brilliant. The workshop door thudded again, harder this time. A voice came through a loudspeaker, colder than before. Human engineer Elias Rowe. By order of Emergency Station Authority, you are to open your door. We will conduct a search for contraband biological material. Elias mouthed a silent curse. Erin's body tensed, armor humming faintly. Elias raised a finger. Wait. He strode to the side panel and flipped on the workshop's external contraband biological material. What are you talking about? We have confirmed a foreign life signature entered this sector at 1907 local time, the voice said. It is classified as hostile. Your cooperation is mandatory. Elias leaned against the panel like he had all the time in the universe. Hostile? Buddy, I haven't even had dinner. I'm the hostile one right now. No reply. Elias kept talking anyway. You got a warrant? A station code? Anything official? The voice paused, too long. Then it said, your questioning is irrelevant. Open the door. Elias muted the comm and turned to Erin. Yeah. They're not station security. Erin's jaw tightened. If they enter, they will kill you. Quickly. Good, Elias said. I hate long conversations. He paced fast, mind working like a machine under pressure. Workshop. Tools. Power grid. Vent systems. Drones. Scrap metal. Anything could be a weapon if you were desperate enough. He looked at Erin's armor, alive, semisentient, still damaged. Then he looked at his ceiling, patched with emergency plating. Then he looked at the silver stains on the floor. An idea snapped into place. Your blood, he said. Erin frowned. What of it? It's reactive, Elias said, already moving. He grabbed a sample vial and scraped a thin amount of dried silver from the tiles. It pulses. It hardens. It shimmered when it hit the air. That's not normal chemistry. It is not chemistry, Erin said quietly. It is biolattice. My people evolved it. It responds to threat, to intent, to electricity. Elias guessed. Erin hesitated. Yes. Elias grinned, sharp and tired. Perfect. He sprinted to the back corner and yanked open a storage cabinet full of old power couplers. His workshop was a graveyard of broken parts, but Elias had always kept the useful junk. It was how you survived on the edge of space, by turning trash into solutions. He slapped a coupler onto the workbench and wired it to an emergency battery. Then he dotted Erin's blood sample across a strip of metal-like paint. The silver droplets spread. They formed patterns. Not random. Not messy. Organized. Like living circuitry. Erin stared. What are you doing? Building a lie, Elias said. He connected the strip to the battery. The silver lit up. It didn't glow. It activated, flowing into tiny channels, shaping itself into a shimmering lattice that looked like a circuit board made of moonlight. Elias laughed once. Oh, that is beautiful. Erin's eyes widened. You should not be able to do that. Elias shrugged. Humans shouldn't be able to do a lot of things. We do them anyway. The door slammed again. The metal warped slightly under the impact. They're trying to breach, Elias said. Okay. New plan. He pointed at the workshop's side vent system on the map. This duct line feeds into the station's coolant exhaust. It exits near the cargo bay. Erin nodded. A tunnel. A miserable one, Elias said. But it gets you out of here. Erin pushed herself off the table. She wobbled, then steadied, pride forcing her spine straight. You will come, she asked. Elias hesitated. He should have said no. He was a nobody. A station mechanic. He had no business escorting a galactic queen through a vent system while murder squads knocked at his door. But he remembered how easily the voice had lied about authority. How calmly it had demanded obedience. He remembered the way Erin had asked why help, like kindness was rare. And he remembered something his father used to say back on Earth before Earth became a place you only saw in pictures. If the bully picks a target, and everyone looks away, the bully owns the room. Elias stood, coilgun in hand. "Yeah," he said. "I'm coming." Erin's expression shifted, something like relief, but sharper. "Then you are already more dangerous than you understand," she murmured. Elias grabbed a welding torch, a tool belt, and the activated silver lattice strip. He shoved the strip into a small drone shell, one of his repair bots, and sealed it inside. "What is that?" Erin asked. "A ghost," Elias said. He slapped the drone to life. It hovered, blinking innocently. Then Elias tapped a control and sent it rolling toward the front door, right as the hunter's cutting beam began to hiss through the metal. The drone's shell popped open, just enough to expose the silver lattice. The beam hit it, and the silver reacted. It exploded in a burst of light, not fire, not shrapnel, but a blinding shock of electromagnetic static that slammed into every sensor outside the door. The loudspeaker screeched. Elias heard angry shouting in a language he didn't know. Boots scrambled. Equipment clattered. "They just lost their eyes," Elias said, voice tight with adrenaline. Erin stared at him like he'd just performed magic. Elias didn't wait. He yanked open the vent hatch behind the work table and gestured. "After you, Your Majesty." Erin paused, looking down into the dark metal tunnel. Then she looked back at him. In her eyes was something Elias didn't expect from a queen. Fear and trust. She climbed in. Elias followed, pulling the hatch closed behind them just as the workshop door finally gave way with a screaming metal tear. The tunnel was narrow, cold, and smelled like coolant and rust. Elias crawled forward, his coilgun scraping against the vent walls. Ahead, Erin moved with surprising speed despite her injury, guided by instincts that had survived palace wars and space assassination attempts. Behind them, the hunters poured into the workshop. Elias heard their boots thundering, heard scanners chirping, heard one of them curse as their equipment failed to lock onto anything. Then he heard something worse. A hunter sniffed the air. "Vent," a voice hissed. The metal behind Elias rang with a heavy dar. A strike. They were coming after them. Elias crawled faster, heart hammering. Erin didn't look back. "They are relentless." "Good," Elias gasped. "So am I when someone messes with my property." Erin's shoulders shook. For a moment, Elias thought she was in pain. Then he realized she was laughing, silent, breathless laughter in the dark. They reached a junction where the vent split into 3 paths. Elias checked his map tablet, only to find the screen flickering. The station grid was glitching. Someone was hacking local systems. "They're taking control of the station," Elias whispered. Erin's voice became very quiet. "Then this is not just hunters. This is a takeover." Elias swallowed. A small station. Mostly civilians. Families. Workers. Kids in training bays. And somewhere above, a faction powerful enough to erase the rules was arriving. Elias looked at Erin, wounded, hunted, and still somehow carrying the weight of a throne. "You said humans are unpredictable," he said. "I hope you like surprises." Erin met his eyes in the darkness. "I am beginning to," she whispered. Behind them, the vent metal buckled again. Elias tightened his grip on the coilgun. "Left path," he decided. "If we're going to save the station, we do it the human way." Erin blinked. "And what way is that?" Elias's smile was grim. "We improvise. We break their plan. And we make them regret ever stepping on our floor." They crawled into the left tunnel as the hunters tore the junction open behind them. And Kepri Station, small, forgotten, and weak on every official report, was about to learn what happens when humans stop acting like victims. The vent dropped them into darkness. Elias hit the coolant exhaust chamber hard, shoulder first, biting back a curse as cold metal scraped his arm. Erin landed more gracefully beside him, boots barely making a sound despite her injury. Steam rolled around them, thick and white, carrying the sharp bite of antifreeze and ozone. Behind them, the vent screamed as it finally tore open. "They are faster than expected," Erin said, her voice steady but tight. "Yeah," Elias muttered, pulling himself up. "That's because they've never chased a human with nothing left to lose." The chamber stretched out like a frozen canyon. Pipes the size of shuttles ran overhead, dripping condensation. Red emergency lights pulsed, painting everything in the color of warning. The station was officially in crisis mode now. Elias tapped his wrist console. No local signal. No station net. "They've locked down communications," he said. "That means civilians don't know what's happening." Erin clenched her fists. "They will seize command sectors first. Power. Life support. Transit. Fear spreads fastest when people feel blind." Elias exhaled slowly. "Then we make sure they don't feel blind for long." They moved quickly through the exhaust tunnels, emerging near the old maintenance ring, a forgotten loop of corridors once used during the station's construction. Most people didn't even know it existed anymore. Elias did. He had rewired half of it over the years. The first civilians they encountered were 3 dock workers huddled behind a cargo crate, eyes wide, hands shaking. "Hey," Elias called softly. "Easy. It's me." One of them recognized him instantly. "Ro. What the hell is going on?" Security just vanished. The station AI keeps repeating lockdown orders. "Because someone else is talking through it," Elias said. "You armed?" The workers shook their heads. Elias sighed and handed one of them his welding torch. "Congratulations. You are now station militia." Erin watched the exchange carefully. "You give weapons freely." "They're not weapons," Elias said. "They are tools. Humans do better when they're fixing something." A tremor shook the corridor. Distant explosions echoed through the hull. Erin stiffened. "They have begun disabling resistance points." Elias looked at the workers. "Listen carefully. Spread the word. Stay off main corridors. Use maintenance routes. If anyone sees soldiers in black armor with no insignia, run or distract them. Do not fight unless you have to." "And you?" one worker asked. Elias glanced at Erin. "We're going to break their grip," he said. The workers hesitated, then nodded. One of them squeezed the torch tighter like it was a lifeline. As they vanished into the shadows, Erin spoke again. "You trust them quickly." "I trust people who've lived on the edge," Elias replied. "They know what it means to be ignored. And ignored people hate bullies." They reached a small control room overlooking the power spine. Elias pried the panel open and sighed in relief when the old manual controls responded. "Here," he said. "This is where it starts." Erin leaned against the wall, breathing harder now. Her wound was stable, but moving took a toll. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Giving the station its voice back," Elias said. He bypassed the main AI and rerouted emergency channels into an open broadcast, unfiltered, unsecured, and very human. The speakers crackled alive across Kepri Station. "This is Elias Rowe," his voice echoed through corridors, homes, hangars, and mess halls. "If you can hear me, listen carefully. We are under hostile takeover by non-station forces. They are not here to help you." Erin watched, stunned, as Elias continued without hesitation. "They want control because they think we're small. They think we'll hide. That we'll freeze and wait for orders." He paused, letting silence work for him. "Don't." His voice hardened. "This station runs because of you. Mechanics. Dock hands. Medics. Engineers. Farmers in hydroponics. You know every bolt, every vent, every shortcut better than they ever will." Elias leaned closer to the MIC. "Use that." Across the station, something changed. Cameras flickered. Lights cut out in select corridors. Gravity shifted briefly in one sector, sending armored hunters stumbling as floor orientation rotated 30 degrees. Erin's eyes widened. "They are losing cohesion." "Because humans don't fight fair," Elias said. "We fight familiar." Hunter squads advanced through main halls, only to find doors sealed, floors slicked with coolant, drones crashing into them from blind angles. Civilians didn't engage directly. They slowed, misdirected, frustrated. A hunter fired on a fleeing technician, only for the lights to go out mid-shot, the beam missing by centimeters. The station wasn't a battlefield. It was a maze. And humans were the only ones who knew the map. Erin watched it unfold with something close to awe. "You planned this?" she asked. Elias shook his head. "No. I just reminded them who they are." A sudden alert pinged on the console. External signatures. Erin's posture changed instantly. Capital ships. They have arrived. The display showed 3 sleek vessels sliding out of hyperspace above the station. Black hulls, no markings. The coalition had escalated. "They will destroy the station," Erin said quietly. "Or take it hostage." Elias stared at the screen, jaw tight. "Then we give them a problem they didn't calculate." He pulled up the power grid again and highlighted a section most people forgot existed. "What is that?" Erin asked. "The old magnetic cargo accelerator," Elias said. "Built to launch or containers before modern drives. Decommissioned because it was inefficient." Erin frowned. "You cannot fight warships with cargo systems." Elias smiled thinly. "Watch me." He rerouted every available auxiliary generator into the accelerator. Warning lights screamed. The system hadn't been used in decades. Erin stepped closer. "What will you launch?" Elias looked at her. "Hope," he said. He opened a channel, narrow beam, directional, and aimed it at the incoming ships. The broadcast wasn't words. It was data. Human data. Open-source designs. Improvised schematics. Emergency repair manuals. Power hacks. Weaponized engineering tricks. Thousands of civilian-made modifications born from centuries of surviving in bad conditions. Erin stared at the screen as the data storm slammed into the coalition ship systems. They cannot parse this," she whispered. "Because it's not military," Elias said. "It's human." The cargo accelerator fired, not metal, not weapons, but electromagnetic chaos. The pulse disrupted the ship's precision fields just enough to make them hesitate. Just enough to doubt. Inside the station, hunter squads froze as their command feeds lagged. Civilians moved. A mechanic dropped a bulkhead on a squad. A medic lured another into a sterilization chamber and flushed it with harmless, but blinding, foam. A teenager rerouted a cleaning bot swarm to harass a patrol until they retreated. Erin watched humans with nothing but tools and stubbornness outplay elite alien forces. Her voice shook. "You should have been conquered long ago." Elias shook his head. "Everyone tried." The station trembled again, but this time, not from attack. From unity. Power stabilized. Life support held. The hunters were retreating toward their insertion points. But Elias knew better. "This isn't over," he said. Erin nodded. "No. This is the moment before the blade comes down." She straightened despite the pain, her presence suddenly heavier, sharper. "They will come for me personally," she said. "And when they do, they will stop pretending." Elias met her gaze. "Then we stop pretending too." The lights in the control room brightened as systems came fully online. Somewhere deep in the station, a group of humans cheered. Above them, alien warships recalculated. And for the first time in a long while, the galaxy hesitated, unsure what humans might do next. The hunters changed tactics. Elias felt it before he saw it, an unnatural stillness settling over Kepri Station. The background hum of systems dropped to a whisper. Lights dimmed. Even the station's constant vibration seemed to pause, like the structure itself was holding its breath. Erin stiffened beside him. "They have stopped hunting." "That's not comforting," Elias said. "It should not be," Erin replied. "It means they are finished playing." The control room display flickered, then stabilized on a single incoming transmission. No encryption. No demands. Just a symbol. Erin's face went rigid. "The High Executor," she said. "He commands the purge fleets." Elias accepted the channel. The image that filled the air was tall, angular, and wrapped in ceremonial black armor etched with symbols that hurt to look at. Its eyes burned a cold, artificial blue. "Human," the executor said. "You have interfered with matters beyond your understanding." Elias folded his arms. "That's usually where the interesting stuff lives." The executor ignored him. Its gaze locked onto Erin. "Sovereign Erin," it intoned. "By authority of the Convergence, you are declared obsolete. Your ideals weaken the lattice. Surrender, and this station survives." Erin stepped forward, pain visible but pride unbroken. "You slaughtered my council. You burned my world. You fear what I represent." The executor's tone did not change. "I fear inefficiency." Then it looked back to Elias. "You have 1 minute," it said. "Deliver her. Or we collapse this station's orbit and let physics do the rest." The transmission cut. Silence followed, heavy, crushing. Elias exhaled slowly. "Okay. That's new." Erin closed her eyes. For a moment, she looked older than a queen should ever look. "I will go," she said. Elias turned sharply. "No. You do not understand," Erin said. "They are not bluffing. They will kill everyone here to remove me." Elias stepped in front of her without thinking. "Then they'll have to go through me." Erin stared at him. "You are one human." Elias shrugged. "I've met humans. That's not a small number." She almost smiled, then her expression hardened. "Elias, my people rule through hierarchy, through fear, through distance. But your people stand shoulder to shoulder. If I stay, you all die." Elias didn't answer right away. He looked at the station schematics, the power readouts, the scattered messages flooding in from civilians offering help, ideas, half-broken plans. "They think in straight lines," he said finally. "Threat. Obedience. Outcome." Erin followed his gaze. "Yes." "So we don't give them that," Elias said. He opened a channel, station-wide. "Attention everyone," his voice echoed. "You heard the threat. They want one life in exchange for all of ours." People froze in corridors. Families held each other tighter. Fear rippled. "But here's the thing," Elias continued. "We didn't invite this. And we're not paying for someone else's cruelty." Erin's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "Giving them a bad answer," Elias said. He turned toward her, lowering his voice. "You said you're a queen. Prove it the human way." Erin studied him. "Explain." "Don't stand above us," Elias said. "Stand with us." Understanding dawned slowly in her eyes, followed by something like wonder. She straightened, despite the pain, and stepped into the broadcast frame. "This is Erin of the Luminarch throne," she said, her voice carrying through every speaker. "I was raised to believe rulers must be distant, untouchable." She paused. "You have shown me another way." The executor's fleet repositioned. Gravity alarms wailed as the station's orbit began to destabilize. Time was running out. Erin continued. "I will not surrender. And I will not hide behind you." She placed a hand against the control room wall, against the metal of the station itself. "I choose this place. These people." Elias swallowed hard. The executor's voice cut back in, cold, almost amused. "Then you will die together." Elias's console screamed warnings. Orbital collapse imminent. Elias slammed his fist on the panel. "Okay. No more warnings." He rerouted everything. Life support reserves. Emergency batteries. Even civilian power packs. "What are you doing?" Erin asked. "Remember your blood." Elias said. "The way it reacts to intent." "Yes." He pulled up the silver lattice readings from earlier. The patterns weren't random. They were adaptive. Your biology is a network, Elias said. Not just inside you. It wants to connect. Erin's breath caught. It resonates with collective purpose. Exactly, Elias said. And humans are very good at that. Across the station, civilians felt it. A strange warmth in the walls. A hum beneath their feet. The station didn't feel like metal anymore. It felt alive. Erin placed both hands on the wall. Her armor unfolded, exposing glowing lines along her skin. Elias patched her biolattice into the station grid. Alarms turned into harmony. Power surged, not violently, but steadily. The station stopped fighting gravity. It answered it. Outside, the executor's fleet faltered. "What is happening?" one of its officers demanded. The station's mass readings spiked, then stabilized at impossible levels. Kepri Station wasn't falling. It was anchoring itself. Erin's voice echoed through the structure, not as sound, but as presence. The humans felt it. Not command. Connection. The executor stared at its sensors. "This is not possible." Elias grinned, teeth bared. "You forgot something." "What?" "We don't rule with fear," Elias said. "We build with each other." The station emitted a pulse, not a weapon, but a declaration. A resonance wave that tore through the executor's precision fields, scrambling their formation. The fleet recoiled. For the first time, the executor hesitated. Erin opened her eyes, glowing like a living star. "This station is under my protection," she said. "And I am under theirs." The executor's image flickered. "This changes nothing," it hissed. "Oh," Elias said softly. "It changes everything." The fleet jumped to hyperspace, not defeated, but shaken. Kepri Station held. Silence fell again, this time, stunned and disbelieving. Erin sagged, collapsing forward. Elias caught her before she hit the floor. "Easy," he whispered. She looked up at him, weak but smiling. "I chose well." Elias laughed shakily. "Next time, try not to crash through my roof." Around them, the station erupted, not in panic, but in cheers. Humans hugged, cried, laughed. They hadn't just survived. They had stood. And somewhere far beyond Kepri Station, the galaxy began rewriting its assumptions. The galaxy did not change all at once. Change never did. It began with silence. Kepri Station drifted in stable orbit, power humming smoothly through walls that still carried a faint, living warmth. Emergency lights shut off one by one. Gravity normalized. Life support indicators turned green across the board. People stood where they were, afraid to move, afraid to break the moment. Then someone laughed. It started in hydroponic sector C, a short, disbelieving sound that turned into a sob. A dock worker dropped to their knees and pressed their forehead against the floor. Two engineers hugged so tightly neither could breathe. Children peeked out from behind bulkheads, eyes wide, trying to understand why the monsters were gone. Elias sat on the control room floor with his back against the console, breathing like he'd just run a marathon through vacuum. Erin lay beside him, unconscious but alive. The glow beneath her skin had faded to a soft silver pulse, steady and calm. He checked her vitals again and again, even though he already knew. "She's stable," he whispered, mostly to himself. For the first time since the crash, Elias allowed his hands to shake. The station governor burst into the control room 10 minutes later, flanked by security officers who looked embarrassed and exhausted. What in the void just happened?" the governor demanded. Elias looked up at him. "Long story." The governor noticed Erin. His face drained of color. "Is that a queen?" Elias said. "Yeah." The governor opened his mouth, closed it, then slowly sat down in a chair like his legs had forgotten how to work. News spread faster than any signal. By the time Erin woke, half the station was gathered outside the control room, humans of every job, age, and background. No banners. No weapons raised. Just people who had stood together when it mattered. Erin stirred, eyes fluttering open. She took in the room, the faces beyond the glass, the way Elias was still sitting beside her like he'd refused to move. "They stayed," she murmured. Elias nodded. "They usually do." Erin pushed herself upright slowly. Pain flickered across her face, but it did not break her. "I owe them more than my life," she said. "You owe me a new roof," Elias replied. A soft sound escaped her, something dangerously close to laughter. When Erin stood, the station felt it. Not as a command. As acknowledgement. She stepped to the control room window and placed her hand against the glass. "I am Erin of the Luminarch throne," she said, her voice carrying without amplification. "I came to your station as a fugitive." She turned, meeting Elias's eyes for a brief moment. "I remain because you reminded me what sovereignty truly means." The crowd listened in silence. "My people rule through fear and distance," Erin continued. "You rule through cooperation. Through stubborn care. Through the refusal to abandon one another." She bowed. Not to a leader. To everyone. Gasps rippled through the room. A queen bowing to civilians was unheard of. Across the galaxy, sensors picked up something strange. Diplomatic channels lighting up, long-dormant treaties stirring, observers quietly taking notes. Because the convergence had felt it too. Not defeat. Exposure. Within hours, neutral systems sent envoys. Independent worlds sent messages of support. Even species that had once feared humanity began asking questions. Not about weapons. About methods. The executor's failure spread like a crack in glass. Coalition leaders argued. Military analysts replayed the data again and again. How did a minor human station repel a purge fleet without firing a single conventional weapon? The answer terrified them. Humans didn't need dominance. They needed participation. Erin remained on Kepri Station for weeks. Not as a ruler in exile. As a resident. She walked the corridors. Spoke with engineers. Ate in the common hall. Learned how humans argued loudly and then worked together anyway. Her wound healed faster than expected. Her understanding grew even faster. When the convergence finally sent diplomats instead of hunters, they arrived carefully. Elias met them in his workshop. They stared at the repaired roof panel. At the faint silver stain still visible between the tiles. "This place," one envoy said cautiously, "is where it happened." Elias nodded. "Yeah. Right there." They looked confused. Why was this location significant? Elias shrugged. It wasn't. Until it was. The treaty that followed was unlike any in galactic history. No surrender clauses. No threat structures. Instead, Erin proposed something radical. A shared council. Not ruled by bloodlines or conquest, but by contribution. Human engineers sat beside alien scholars. Dock workers debated tacticians. Farmers advised logistics commanders. The convergence resisted. Then more systems asked to join. Because word had spread. If you wanted power, humans were unpredictable. If you wanted stability, humans were unstoppable. Years later, historians would call it the Floor Incident. They would argue over causes. Over leadership. Over who truly changed the galaxy. Elias didn't care. He was back in his workshop, replacing a cracked tile. Erin stood nearby, watching with quiet amusement. "You know," she said, "entire civilizations trace their future to this moment." Elias pressed the tile into place. "Yeah." Tile was still a pain to replace. She smiled, real and unguarded. "You panicked over a damaged floor," she said. "And in doing so, you protected a queen." Elias stood, stretching his back. "Nah. I protected a patient." Erin met his gaze. "That is why you protected a galaxy." Outside the workshop window, ships of every design moved through Kepri Station, human and alien, side by side. The galaxy hadn't become safer. It had become braver. And somewhere in the stars, whenever a powerful empire considered crushing a small human world, someone would always ask, "Do they know their flaws?" Because if they did, Then the galaxy knew better than to underestimate them again.